Actually, it summarizes too. It indicates to us that today we are not having the enough adequate number of standards, adequate standards, particularly for handling and utilization of the hydrogens. So these need to be developed simultaneously with the development of the technology. Hydrogen has the potential to reinforce and connect different parts of the energy system and can become an important source of clean energy. This is basically a repetition of the points given above, and it is focusing again or highlighting again the importance of the clean energy. Through this figure, I have tried to capture the global annual demand of the hydrogen in different sectors. Say this slightly dark blue is in the refining sector. Over the years, how the hydrogen use has changed. During 1980s, this was the figure, and if we see towards 2018, from where the source from where this figure is taken, the use of hydrogen in refining has shown a quite high jump. So that is the scenario. So hydrogen is used in the refining of the fuel to desulfurize it. That is the main applications. Similarly, in other sectors, one is the ammonia production. Ammonia is used in many chemical processes, and the most favorable use is production of the nitrogen-based fertilizers. So hydrogen is used as the basic raw material. Methanol production and other forms of the other mixed uses. So this is showing that hydrogen is creating its own market. It is creating its own demand as the growth and the development of other sources of energy is taking place. Applications of hydrogen as energy source. Hydrogen can be used as an energy source. It could be used for the combustion directly. For example, this can be used in fuel cells to drive forward the hydrogen-powered transport vehicles or as a means to produce synthetic fuels. A part of these synthetic fuels I have already covered just in the previous slide. So it is the same thing. So main applications of the hydrogen will be in manufacturing of the fuel cells, and adequate size of the fuel cells will drive the adequately built vehicles. But for this, some changes in the motor vehicle regulations have to take place. In power generation, hydrogen is one of the leading options for storing renewable energy. Hydrogen can enable renewables to provide an even greater contribution. It has the potential to help with variable output from renewables such as solar photovoltaics. क्या कह रहे हैं? Hydrogen plays a key role for sector coupling. In areas where renewable electricity cannot be used directly, green hydrogen and the products derived from it, that we call it power to X, open up new ways to decarbonize our energy supply. This slide is continued application of hydrogen as energy use. Hydrogen can replace fossil fuels in some carbon-intensive industrial process, such as in the making of the steel or chemical sectors, lowering greenhouse gas emissions and further strengthening global competitiveness for those industries. And it's basically a substitute for the coke in the steel industry. Hydrogen is a reducing agent and can be used directly in the production of the steel. Many chemical and industrial processes depend on the use of hydrogen. For example, it is used as a base substance for producing ammonia, and ammonia finding its many applications in other chemical processes. Different type of hydrogen based on input material use. Actually, there are this terminology is quite common, so I felt it appropriate just to refresh it, that what is green hydrogen and what are other forms of the hydrogen. So green hydrogen, for the understanding of the community in one way, in an uniform way, is one which is using 100% of the renewable generated power, and through electrolysis of the water, the hydrogen is produced. So that has been termed as the green hydrogen. But mainly when we have to produce hydrogen by the method of electrolysis, the availability of the pure water, availability of the adequate quality of the water is a must. So it is water consuming as well. White hydrogen is byproduct of any process of thermal use. Turquoise hydrogen, that is thermal decomposition of the methane. Gray hydrogen is natural gas plus any process, any other process. Natural gas and any other process produces the gray hydrogen. Brown hydrogen, any fossil fuel plus any of the process. Blue hydrogen will be natural gas plus carbon capture and storage or other CO2 reusage. Yellow hydrogen will be termed power market electricity mix plus electrolyzers. Sometimes in the power market, the electricity is available at a quite cheaper rate. So that time it could be used, and electrolyzers could be used to produce hydrogen. Red hydrogen has also been termed by using the nuclear energy and the electrolyzer. So whole thing depends on the basics of the power system, that the load generation balance has to be maintained, and our say nuclear generators are not to be subjected to wide fluctuations. So when the to maintain at the base load the nuclear generation, electricity generated from the nuclear energy is used, and the electrolyzers are used along with that. Then comes another application and the entirely new technology of hydrogen. So actually fuel cells. Fuel cells are quite common. They are in existence from a long time, but because of the expensiveness, because they are expensive, they are not in much use and has not find the application very easily. But it is expected that in future, with the more research, economy of scale, more of the safety assurances, the cost may come down and fuel cell will find a better application in the power sector, in the form of the distributed energy resources, as well as in the mobility sector. Fuel cell is an electrochemical device that combines hydrogen and oxygen to produce electricity, with water and heat as its byproduct. So whatsoever its byproduct are there, they are water and a little quantity of the heat. So those are not harmful to the environment. So it will help us in maintaining the carbon neutrality. There is, if the hydrogen has been produced using the green energy or using the renewable energy, then it is basically the carbon neutral phenomena. Although there are several types of the fuel cells, they all operate on the same basic concept of electrochemical reaction of fuel and oxygen to produce water, DC electricity, that is the direct current electricity, and heat. So DC is obtained from the fuel cells. Just to refresh, everybody I think knows this, whosoever are the learned participants, but just to refresh, how does a fuel cell work? As long as the fuel is supplied, a fuel cell will produce both energy and heat. A fuel cell consists of two catalyst coated electrodes surrounding by an electrolyte. One electrode is an anode, one of the electrode is an anode and the other is a cathode. The process begins when hydrogen molecules enter the anode. The catalyst coating separates hydrogen negatively charged electrons from the positively charged protons. Electrolyte allows the protons to pass through the cathode, but not the electrons. Instead, the electrons are, sorry for spelling mistake, it is R. Instead, the electrons are directed through an external circuit which creates electrical current. So just to tell in a summarized way that hydrogen fuel cell produces the electricity. Comparison between different storage technologies. So just as in the beginning I told that there should be some policy. So one of the policy is e-transformation and e-mobility, that is promoting the battery. Energy storage mission is with the aim of promoting the storage technologies, including the pumped storage plant, which is a very stable and very much established storage techniques. Another policy which is needed or say is in the offing, work is going on in this direction also on the fuel cell and the batteries. A very high level committee has been constituted in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and other stakeholders are there. Naturally, CEA is also one of the stakeholders there. So all the three technologies are independent of each other. Here it comes the policy making parts. So what we are thinking from our side is that all the three technologies we treat as independent of each other, each having its unique advantages and maybe some disadvantages, hence need to be promoted simultaneously. They should not come or act as a barrier to the other, so that we are not dependent on one technology alone. Large scale dependency only on one technology alone does not help us in self-reliant and diversification of the portfolio. Because if something fails or some strategic raw material supply fails, so we become dependent and we are in trouble. A specific application will decide the choice of technology adoption, keeping in view the techno-economic considerations. Set what are the resources, what the ecology says, how is the ecology, in which part of the country we are operating, and what are the techno-economic considerations that will decide the application. Say whatever is suited to the rural area may not be quite suitable to the urban areas or the metros. Then to drive this, in how many ways the hydrogen can be produced. So hydrogen protection, this diagram depicts some of the things, may not be all. So feedstock, production process, and the technology. Using the methane, we can produce hydrogen by the technology of reforming, so known as the steam methane reforming. Similarly, other hydrocarbons reforming and then reaching to this one. Then other hydrocarbons oxidation and reaching to hydrogen. Similarly, oil, coal, biomass, and water. The water is basically electrolysis and photolysis. So these two items, and this water naturally will be using as a green energy or the renewable energy as the basic input. So there may be some expected barriers. What expected barriers are there? In the case of the hydrogen storage, it offers a lot of advantage of the hydrogen storage, but there are some basic barriers. One is the infrastructure requirement, another is safety, refueling of vehicles running on hydrogen. They should run over a long distance and there should be refueling stations at suitable distances, at suitable intervals. Hydrogen refueling stations, then fuel cell vehicles. Another will be the demand, whether the demand will be there or not, whether some alternative technology will surpass this. Then cost economics, how much is the basic cost, how much is the operation and maintenance cost and the running cost. And we also have to see the international scenario, that if required, what international cooperation would be available. Or say if become quite capable, we should be in a position to export also the technology and the product. But right now is the lack of standards. So lack of standards could be overcome if we start early and we make the specific groups for that, taking all the stakeholders together. Another issue will come of the distribution of the hydrogen, how the hydrogen will be distributed from one place to the another place. So hydrogen can also be compressed. One is the piped flow in which it passes in the form of the gases, and another is the hydrogen can be compressed and it could be shipped in tube trailers at pressure up to about 250 bars. In India, it is allowed up to 2500 per square inch. Internationally, it is allowed up to 3000 per square inch. Moderate quantities of hydrogen can be delivered to long distances in liquid form, but energy requirements and capital cost for liquefaction are much higher than for compression. Pipelines are used for long distance flows of hydrogen. The cost of hydrogen pipelines delivery depends upon the installed capital cost of the pipeline, as well as the cost of compression and storage at production site. So huge investments are also required in creating such infrastructure and the pipelines, and special techniques are required for the compression of the hydrogen. So use of hydrogen in the transport. Whether hydrogen is being produced in a centralized or decentralized manner, there is a need to transport. There is a need to transport to or at the point of use. The choice of selection of appropriate method depends on geography, the volume to be transported, distance of transport, and the end use application. Long distance and large volume of hydrogen transport can be via pipelines and shipping routes, while local distribution can be using either pipeline or trucks and trailers. Hydrogen requires safe handling. As far as handling of the hydrogen is concerned, so there are certain concerns about that. It requires safe handling while being produced, stored, transported, delivered or distributed, since it is flammable in nature. Leak detection is crucial to maintain safe handling. Standards related to hydrogen purity for fuel cell applications, pressure regulators, safety valves, pressure relief valves, solenoid valves are needed to be formulated and adopted. And we should be careful that whatever standards we are making and following, they should be internationally acceptable, so that if somewhere the interchangeability requirement comes, that interchangeability requirements are also fulfilled. Hydrogen flame of the hydrogen is nearly invisible, which may be dangerous because people in the vicinity of the hydrogen flame may not be even knowing that there is a fire or there is a flame. This may be remedied by adding some chemicals that will provide the necessary luminosity so that flame is visible. Another safety aspect of the hydrogen is it has got the low ignition energy. Hydrogen embrittlement is another phenomena. It makes the pipes and the metals brittle when it continuously comes in contact with some of the specified metals. It's lighter than air. 14 times. Ventilation and leak detection is difficult, and there may be hydrogen fire because of the accumulation of the hydrogen in a particular location. So what is the Indian scenario while we are developing and we are exploring and making efforts to become or are proceeding towards the hydrogen economy? So I have told that there is an MNRE committee on the hydrogen fuel cells. Committee has held several meetings with the stakeholders. So many organizations, IIT, BHEL, Mahindra & Mahindra, Tata Motors, etc., have demonstrated hydrogen fuel cell driven, specifically designed vehicles. Various research groups in India, which BARC Mumbai, CSIR Labs, Institute of Chemical Technology, Chemistry Research Group, ONGC, and oil companies, etc., are engaged in the R&D projects on development of hydrogen production in the country. Widespread use of clean hydrogen in global energy transitions faces several challenges. Those challenges are: today hydrogen is almost entirely supplied from natural gas and coal. Hydrogen is already deployed at the industrial scale across the globe, but its production in this way is responsible for higher amount of annual CO2 emissions, which need to be avoided. Producing hydrogen from low carbon energy is currently costly. However, gradually the cost of producing hydrogen from the renewable electricity would be following a reducing trend, with cost per unit coming down, keeping in view the volume of economy. Hydrogen must be used much more widely. Today, hydrogen is used mostly in oil refining and for production of ammonia and fertilizers. For it to make a significant contribution to the clean energy transition, it must also be adopted in sectors where it is currently almost absent, such as transport and power generation. So, our hydrogen development path or our hydrogen economy should lead us to the use of hydrogen in the transport as well as in the electricity generation. Widespread use of clean hydrogen. This is a continued slide in the global energy transitions. The development of hydrogen infrastructure is a challenge and is holding back widespread adoption. For transportation of hydrogen, new and upgraded pipelines and efficient and economic shipping solutions require further development and deployment. Lack of regulations currently limit the development of a clean hydrogen industry. So regulations at present are not so mature, if somehow they are there. Another challenges are: hydrogen is flammable and explosive over a wide range of concentrations, and its ignition energy is almost one order of the magnitude lower than that of the conventional fuels. So it easily catches fire. It is difficult to contain hydrogen and it tends to leak out of its storage medium. Hence, safety is an important factor to be considered when designing hydrogen storage media. Higher cost of hydrogen production, storage and utilization, such as in fuel cells, is presently preventing it from becoming competitive with the other conventional fuels and other technologies. So cost is one of the criteria that it is not being accepted so easily. Yes, commercial infrastructure, there are certain issues with the hydrogen, and out of that, safety is critical due to high flammability of the fuel. Adequate safety equipment such as flame traps are required. Maintaining the quality of hydrogen through production is an issue. Low energy density makes vehicle range a problem. Leakage tendency of hydrogen is higher. There is lack of distribution infrastructure. Metal embrittlement, as I mentioned earlier, tendency requires change in the engine parts too frequently. Backfire and pre-ignition are some more technical issues. So there are what recommendations some group could make. So recommendations could be in the form of: establish a role for hydrogen in the long-term energy strategies. That in the energy basket, it should find some place, and how much it should contribute, that must be targeted. So far, there are no target sets that how much will be the dependency on the hydrogen and how much and in which sector the hydrogen will be used at a larger scale. Stimulate commercial demand for clean hydrogen. Address investment risk of first movers. Those who comes first, they faces a great challenge whether they will be acceptable or not, and whatever investment they have made, whether they will be able to recover it or not. Support R&D to bring down the cost. Eliminate unnecessary regulatory barriers and harmonize the standards. Engage international practice and track progress. Capacity building in hydrogen technology. Then research and innovations. Before reaching to the conclusion, I've got some few more slides. So I will take just 1 minute to load that slide. इसमें कितनी वो है? 4 और ऐड किए, कंक्लूजन ऐड किया, ये पूरी है लास्ट पे ये डाउनलोड करो। हाँ, तो इसको बंद कर देते हैं। इसको बंद कर
until the next slide is being put up by
no,
sir, I would like to...
almost.
Yes,
no
sir, yes,
issue,
sir, you
sir.
can continue. I'm just informing the participants that we have muted all of them to avoid any disturbance to you. We can have the interaction session at the end of the program. The participants have started posting their queries in the chat box also. So I would like to encourage all the others also that they can also post their queries in the chat box, and all the queries shall be taken up in the interaction session at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
So is the slide visible?
Not yet, sir.
Achha. I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir, we can see the slide.
This one. So we were on that. If a group is formed, what could be the model recommendation, or what sort of the recommendations could be there to take the path forward?
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for the interruption. If you may please enter the full screen mode.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for correcting. Yes. So some of the recommendations have been listed in this particular slide. It is one, making hydrogen a competitive option. So because this is an era of competition, so whatsoever the energy technology is there, that has to find its place at its own based on the market forces. The correct example of this is renewable, particularly solar. When it started in 2010 or so, the prices per unit were quite high. But now, because of the economy of scale and other factors and the improvement in technology, the price has come less than even the thermal conventional power. Enhancing transport and distribution infrastructure. For the hydrogen to be in place, we have to develop the infrastructure because it's a new sector. So it happens with everyone. Suppose if we want to lay a new railway line that will need an investment to the untouched area. So similar will be the position for this. To establish the hydrogen, a huge investment or a sizable investment will be required to create the basic infrastructure. Fostering science, mobilizing skilled labor. So maybe the power sector skill councils, and there are many other skill councils, they could be utilized to create a special type of the workforce which could handle it safely and also find the employment, proper employment. Building up and securing the quality assurance infrastructure for hydrogen production, transport, storage and use, and building a trust that it will be available for a long time, that it's not a short time deal. It will be available over a long time and will be available in a reasonable cost, range. So that builds the trust. And also, of course, the safety is the foremost. The whole thing, if remains safe, will be establishing its own market. Need of establishment of clear sustainability standards for production and transport of hydrogen along with associated emissions. So standards have to be formed. The emission norms have to be formed for the hydrogen driven vehicles. National hydrogen strategy. What could be a model for the national hydrogen strategy? So there are certain action plan which defines the steps necessary for national hydrogen strategy to succeed. A better framework for the efficient use of electricity from renewables, that is by means of sector coupling, in line with the climate targets and the targets for the energy transition, that is fostering the grid stability to create greater scope for production of green hydrogen. So grid stability will be achieved when the excess generation will be absorbed and utilized in some useful work. Supporting the switchover to hydrogen in the industrial sector by providing funding for investment in electrolyzers. So maybe there is a need to subsidize the electrolyzers in the beginning so that market takes place. Explore potential tendering schemes for production of green hydrogen, that is to help decarbonize the steel and chemical industries. Steps for boosting hydrogen usage. Market activation to boost investment in hydrogen powered vehicles. Funding for the construction of a need-based refueling infrastructure for vehicles, including heavy duty road haulage vehicles. How it will be transported. So wherever needed, and say if it has to be transported, hydrogen has to be transported to the remote villages, then we have to build the suitably sized or the smaller sized trucks, not the long haulage trucks. Yes. Support for establishment of a competitive supply industry for fuel cell systems, that is the fuel cell related components, whatsoever the accessories and the components would be required for storing the hydrogen and other safety devices for handling the hydrogen. Advocacy for an international harmonization of standards. This is very much important for mobility applications for hydrogen and fuel cell based systems. So basically this harmonization means these mobile chargers are the typical examples. They are not uniform. You purchase one brand of the mobile or one type of the mobile or from the same company, its charger may not fit exactly into the another brand of the mobile. So that should not happen. There should be harmonization and total 100% interchangeability of the components. Then if you allow me, we can come to the conclusion and read out this conclusion from here. There is a need to provide due emphasis on the R&D activities in the field of production, storage, transportation, safety aspects, and utilization of the hydrogen. So here again, the safety is the foremost. Availability of requisite raw material, technology and equipment to be ensured, and it need to be ensured on a long-term basis. Like the batteries are there and trend is towards the lithium ion batteries at present. Of course, other technologies are also being developed. But if India take the position of India, India is not having the lithium reserves. And other reserves, it is said that have been occupied by other countries. So it becomes a strategic material and it becomes a strategic decision and the strategic choice whether we opt for the mass scale applicability, mass scale e-mobility program using the lithium ion batteries. So that is a point to think over. Financial support for transition from existing technology and practices to new technology is necessary. Financial support will be required. Some new business models should come. A roadmap need to be prepared to adopt the hydrogen economy. It is basically proper planning driven from the center level. Efforts need to be made that overall system efficiency is the highest attainable. Efficiency is a criteria which should be honored. Wherever necessary, transfer of technology need to be facilitated. By transfer of technology, we means towards our initiative of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So if we are not having a particular technology, and if we are entering into a collaboration or the joint venture with some other foreign manufacturers, there should be a term that slowly and slowly the transfer of technology will take place. In order to avoid the carbon emission in production of hydrogen, a good use of electricity produced from the renewable sources, where there is low electricity demand in the system, means when there is adequate generation and demand is not there, so that may be made use of. There is a need to create a pool of skilled personnel at various levels to implement the hydrogen economy. So I think let me stop here. These were some few slides and few points which I wanted to express myself in this August gathering. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajput sir, for that presentation. Now I would like to announce the participants that the panel is open for discussion. Rajput sir, actually we have some queries in the chat box.
No problem.
Yes, sir. I would like to announce that whosoever query is being taken up, he or she can unmute themselves and interact with sir.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. Sagar. I am calling from L&T.
Yes.
Sir, one of the concern which you express is actually lack of standards, which I agree, sir. My question is that, sir, hydrogen is known to us since we are producing or separating from fossil sources, and we are also handling for various processes. So what are those specific standards which needs to develop?
Actually, standards need to be developed. First of all, we can say adopt the international standards, whatsoever are available. And then we develop standards which are specific to India, particularly keeping in view the typical climatic conditions. Say extremes of weather. One is the extreme of weather, and sir. One is that is the very cold climate, say in the Leh Ladakh, and very harsh climate in say particularly Rajasthan and northern plains.
Okay, sir.
A high ambient temperature. So those should take place. And for this, India is participating in various committees of the international standard making bodies such as ISO. These committees are developing global standards for hydrogen. which could be adopted in the future by India. In parallel, the BIS Committee on Hydrogen Standard is working towards developing the Indian standards by adopting the international standards with modifications for India-specific conditions.
Okay, sir.
Actually, what happens, particularly European standards and other standards, their testing conditions and the ambient temperature for the testings are different. And for us, Indian system, the ambient conditions are different as well as the testing temperature will be different. So these are the basic difference in the two important parameters.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'll ask one more question, then I'll leave others can also ask.
Yes.
The question is, sir, are we in a position to inject hydrogen in PNG as a mixture and transport it to natural gas pipeline? Is it something explored possible?
PNG, pipe
Yes, sir.
pipe
Natural
gas.
gas. Yes, sir.
See, I am basically not from a chemical background, but people say it is possible.
Okay,
So
sir.
I will go by them. Maybe they might have researched and they might have explored, having better knowledge than me.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Anyone else would like to interact with Rajput, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. This is Ranjit from Larsen and Toubro. So,
Yes, sir.
I have a small query, sir. So, when we use the hydrogen as fuel for vehicles in upcoming days, so what will be the maximum pressure at which the hydrogen can be stored in the fuel tanks in order to maximize the fuel capacity that it can hold?
Sir, don't ask from an electrical engineer. Ask the automobile engineer at what pressure he will design.
Now, we have any standards, any safety related, any limits we are keeping in that way?
Pressure limit for transportation of the cylinders that I told, that is 2000 psi.
Yes, sir.
So naturally that cylinder itself will be replaced in the fuel cell.
Okay.
So I do not know how internally this he will adjust the pressure to suit it to one particular vehicle. It will depend also on the mass of the vehicles, the type of the vehicles, and for how long the vehicle is to travel using the fuel cell. So fuel cell will also have its own weight. So vehicle has to accommodate that particular weight also.
Okay, sir. Okay. And one more query, sir, is regarding the generation of green hydrogen, where we will be using solar power for running the electrolyzer to generate hydrogen. So when it comes to the capacity utilization of the electrolyzer, if we are using solar power only, then during the daytime only we will be getting the power from the solar field. So the electrolyzer will be running during the daytime only. So whether this is advisable to use the electrolyzer like that, sir, with a discontinued operation?
Sir, it is advisable in the sense that the power generated which otherwise was going to be curtailed, which otherwise was going to be waste, has been utilized somewhere, and the grid stability of the grid has also been maintained. Another thing is that when excess power is being generated, our thermal plants, see the system in totality, our thermal plants have to run at a lower load, very lower load.
Okay.
So at very lower load, the efficiency of the thermal plants is poor. And if a smooth running or a fixed load is there, if they are run at a fixed load, say 60% and like that, then their operation is more stable, the efficiency is better, calorific value parameter is better, and the emissions are also low. So with that respect, there is no harm in using the electrolyzer by using the solar energy or the wind energy. It is basically electricity. Naturally, you have to draw from some point.
Yes, sir.
So it is not necessary whether say this has been the energy coming out from the solar or coming out of the wind or coming out of the thermal power station.
Okay.
the system network operator will tell that which type of the generation is at its peak now.
Okay.
So from there, through IT media, using the IT technology, the information will be available that it is the right time to use the electrolyzers and produce hydrogen for further use. That
Okay,
is
sir.
the way I have understood it.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Hello sir, this is Saurabh
हाँ
from Electri. So
थोड़ा जोर से बोलिए.
yeah sir, basically I have one question. What are the plans of Indian government for local manufacturing of electrolyzers and fuel cells? Because these are the key materials for hydrogen generation, and we don't want to go in the similar way that is happening with lithium batteries.
Actually, government is working quite hard and quite aggressively on the hydrogen economy. Niti Aayog also talking of the hydrogen economy. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and of course MOP talking of the National Hydrogen Mission. So as this technology is in place, as this policy is in place and promotional supports are there from the government, the industries will come up, and we are not able to technical collaboration because whatsoever electrolyzer we have in India today are having lower efficiency as compared to those which are in the European world and other countries. So there could be transfer of technology avenues. So this will take place as the market decides, depending on the market forces.
चेक कर लेंगे मेरा वाला चेक कर लूंगा ठीक है. Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes.
I am R. Agarwal, General Manager Strategy from NHPC. Just wanted to know, have you worked on the commercial aspects of this technology?
Sir, I am not supposed to work the commercial aspect. There are many groups which are working on this. I am just in CEA representing and sharing my views on this particular topic on a small arena of this. It's basically the whole area.
No, actually, the exploitation of this technology for use by the nation can only come when we have some idea on the commercial viability of this technology.
So I told you, the National Hydrogen Mission is there. They will naturally come out with the correct figures. And even if I know those figures, I am not supposed to reveal that.
Acha, but it is still under formative stage, you would like to suggest?
Yes.
Okay. Do you foresee any, or the CA foresees or the government foresees any timeline for implementation of this technology?
That is yet to be seen.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, there is one query from Mr. Sachin from CTR. Mr. Sachin, would you like to use your mic? Mr. Sachin, I think you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, now I hope I can.
Yes, you're audible now.
So, sir, the query is quite basic that we have been talking about hydrogen being a clean fuel and all those things. But in general, even to produce hydrogen, we need to use energy. And unless it is using the renewable energy to produce the hydrogen, it is just a displacement of, emissions. So can we clearly say that this is a clean fuel of the future?
Subject to the condition that when the renewable energy is in excess of the demand and is being used or diverted to produce the hydrogen. So that time it will be termed as the green energy. Right now, most of the hydrogen is being produced from the steam methane reforming and through the fossil fuel base. Right. So those are generating carbon. So this way, carbon dioxide. So this way, this type of the green hydrogen production will avoid the further emission of the carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
So it is basically one way of cutting the emissions.
Yeah.
The way it was
Yeah, maybe once the electrolyzers are developed and renewable energy is mostly being used in the grid, then that stage may come that
yes.
it could be a clean fuel of the future.
Right now, it is only the thing envisaged is that when only the renewable energy is excess in the grid, that time only use the energy for electrolysis and production of hydrogen, not otherwise.
Not otherwise. True, sir. True. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your query, Mr. Sachin. One query is from Mr. Parag. Mr. Parag, would you like to use your mic? Okay, sir, I shall dictate his query to you.
Yes.
The cost of green hydrogen is dependent on cost of renewable energy. However,
Yes.
even with solar energy costs coming down substantially, the round-the-clock cost of renewable energy costs are still high, making green hydrogen expensive. What policies are required to reduce the cost of green hydrogen?
Actually, the suitable regulations will be developed for this also. As just I replied to Sachin ji, the basic principle is that when it is in excess, it is going to be curtailed. Only that time you use it. So it is basically the diversion of resources for a more or the better use. Diversion of resources for a better use.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your query, Mr. Parag. Sir, one query is from Mr. Neeraj. He is actually unable to use his mic, so
No
I'll be
problem.
dictating his query. The question is, what are the funding agencies for hydrogen production related R&D? Are there any separate funding available in government?
DST, Department of Science and Technology, they fund.
Okay. So, Mr. Neeraj, I hope your query is resolved. If any other problem is there, you can keep posting in the chat box. One question is from Ms. Kirutika. Would you like to use your mic?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, please,
Good
ma'am.
evening, Mr. Rajput. Kritika here again from L&T. I see a lot of my colleagues participating in this meeting today.
Yes.
So I'm a strategy manager at L&T Hydrocarbon Engineering. My question was you've talked about hydrogen as a storage renewable energy storage solution. Like in Europe, how is India taking hydrogen as an energy storage medium, and are there any plans for deploying commercial scale projects or any commercial scale projects are already coming up? What's your thought on this, sir?
Means you, as I have understood your question, you want to say that in the European world, there are national strategies for hydrogen storage and the hydrogen economy.
Yeah, I mean they are using hydrogen as a storage medium or storage solution for renewable energy. So as you rightly said, I mean that is one of the options where India could take as well. So I was wondering whether there are any commercial projects already being deployed where hydrogen is used as a storage solution for renewable energy.
Right now, such projects are not there.
Okay.
But we have also gone through the Germany hydrogen strategy roadmap. They have offered some assistance to Indian government. Maybe at the highest level in the government, the talks must be going on. But nicely they have prepared. They are not only storing, but they are using it also in several applications. And
right.
And they are making use of the wind energy particularly because solar in their arena is very less, and wind energy particularly from the offshore wind also. So that is their plan. So we have to be specific. Offshore development is not taking place in India, and lot of offshore sites are also not there. So we have to devise our own model somewhat similar to their model itself.
Okay. So you say that there are right now there are no plans for commercial projects, immediate plans for commercial projects.
I don't think that there are immediate plans. It is basically in the policy formulation stage and the encouraging stage. It will be basically cannot be done by any single entity, say by one ministry or another ministry. It has to be a collective efforts right from the private players to the scientist and to the financer. That whole group has to come together to achieve the success.
Okay. So is there a task force in the government that focuses on this hydrogen strategy deployment?
Yes, 100%. There is a task force, or you can say a committee is there. And that committee terms of reference I can reveal. Okay.
Sure.
Just I will tell you. So for the benefit of the participants, I would like to read the terms of reference of that particular committee. That particular committee is in the making of the National Hydrogen Mission. So it has to deliberate on the current status of hydrogen and fuel cell technology, applications and trends. So basically it talks of the applications also, that what will be the commercial applications and initially what will be the pilot applications. And trends means in which direction we have to go, whether the fuel cell in the smaller vehicles or fuel cells as it is termed better for the long haulage vehicles, say for trucks and the buses. And some buses also working on hydrogen will be piloted with the help of the NTPC in Delhi as well as in Leh. Tata and NTPC and some other groups also will join in this, and they will be piloting this bus. Then this group will also deliberate on comparative analysis of advantages and limitations of hydrogen fuel cells and batteries, because batteries are also well established competing technologies. And batteries are also finding lot of application in energy storage as well as e-mobility. Similarly, fuel cell development will also find an equally good application in energy storage as well as the mobility. So it has to see its relative advantages and disadvantages. Then another is suggestions for augmenting ongoing hydrogen and fuel cell program. So whatever ongoing programs are there, suggestions for augmenting ongoing hydrogen and fuel cell programs and milestones for development and deployment in energy storage, transportation and other relevant sectors in short term, medium term and long term. So I hope this 3 terms of reference covers a lot, and it talks of the short term, medium term and the long term also. So let us wait for the outcome of the report of the committee.
Thank you, sir. That was helpful. So this task force comes under which ministry right now?
MNRE.
MNRE. All right.
It is basically not a task force, it's a committee.
Okay.
Committee constituted under chairmanship of Secretary MNRE.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That was helpful.
And commonly it is known as MNRE Committee on Hydrogen Fuel Cell.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Kritika, for your query. And also, I would like to thank Rajput sir for sharing those terms of reference. Now, from the chat box, we are done with the queries. I would like to announce to the participants, this is the last call for the interaction with Rajput sir. Is anyone interested?
Excuse me, sir. This is, am I audible?
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, myself Pankaj Vasist, DGM Strategy from NHPC Limited. It's a related question since you have informed us that the preliminary model of this hydrogen fuel cell is by using excessive green energy, whether it is a form of wind or solar, available in the grid. So, as you are in CA, I just want to know, sir, what is the roadmap or your vision of CEA, that what is likely be spareable green energy in the grid in the next coming years?
Renewable energy.
Yeah, excessive renewable energy that will be available. Is there any estimation from your side?
Already it is in excess. Depending on the load demands, at some of the times of the day, some of the periods of the day, the solar energy and the wind energy are already in excess, and the developers are facing curtailments.
Sir, as per my knowledge, I think these curtailments are because of due to the lack of evacuation capacity.
Curtailment may be because of many reasons. So one of the reason is this also, when the low demand is there, they resort to the curtailment of, because what happens in the state, their own thermal power stations are there. So in order to have remain in competition and not to shut down their thermal stations and suffering from the lot of wear and tear, they keep on running their thermal power stations and curtail the wind and the solar power. So that is also one phenomena. Curtailment, you are right that curtailment may be also because there are congestion. So for the congestions, the battery energy storages are being planned at the different locations. That is the distribution end, transmission end, as well as the generation end. So battery storage at these three locations will perform the different type of the services. At the generating end, they will be mostly getting charged at the time of the favorable conditions, and they will be discharging to the grid at the time when there are peak demands at the load centers.
Yes, sir, got it, sir. But my question is quantum of spare green energy available in the grid.
Cannot be told, sir. In my view, it cannot be told that how much will be the quantum of grid energy in excess.
At present, as you are saying, it is also excessive available right now also. So is there any estimation?
Means I am inferring from the fact that it is already being curtailed and the developers are crying that they are curtailing our wind energy and the solar energy.
Is there an approximation done on this value?
Not at my level. Maybe some other division. This is basically part of the RPCs and the POSOCO. Maybe POSOCO having, they are running the renewable energy management centers also. For your information, 11 energy renewable management centers are there, and this particular type of the data is being monitored there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And the curtailment is at different durations at different times of the day. So in terms of the peak or in terms of the megawatt, it cannot be told like this. It may be in the terms of the energy that during this particular period, in this month, this much energy has been curtailed. If one work out at the POSOCO level or the REMC level, they may be in a position to tell that what is happening in real sense, because they monitor the real-time data. And prepares the RE account also, regional energy accounts.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your query, sir. Is anyone else interested?
Two raised hands are also seen here, KS and PV.
Yeah, Mr. Pankaj. Oh, I think by mistake they have raised their hand, sir.
अच्छा, उनका शायद हो गया question.
Yes, sir. I think you have solved all of the queries.
नहीं, solve तो नहीं हुआ है, अभी तो नहीं है. Solve करने वाले तो लोग उधर बैठे हैं.
Sir, at least we have started solving. I think that's a big step from your side.
Thank you.
Sir, if nobody has any question, I have one question.
Yes, sir, please.
You said that hydrogen promotion or hydrogen economy is not possible by one entity like government or R&D. We need integrated effort. So what role do you envisage from industry to play? How industry can contribute here in hydrogen economy?
Industries are like steel industry is consuming hard coal coke right now.
Okay, sir.
They have to be motivated, or they have to start using the hydrogen in place of the hard coal coke. So this will avoid the carbon emissions. That is one.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Industry, another is the role of the automobile sector.
Okay, sir.
As the people are developing and have taking some paths, taking some lead in development and promotion of the electric vehicles, on the similar lines, the fuel cell driven vehicles have to be in place. And say whatsoever, there is a lot of inertia also, where whenever any technology comes, naturally people are tuned to one particular type of the technology. They are tuned to, say, using the petrol driven car or the diesel driven car. So they may not easily switch to the new type of the car, say running on the fuel cell. So biggest uncertainty will come as is coming in the way of the electric vehicles also, availability of the recharging stations. And in case of the hydrogen fuel cell driven vehicles, the uncertainty will be availability of the fuels at right places. And maybe when things start moving, there will be refueling stations and refueling service providers. Means storing the particular size of the cylinders and replacing them whenever needed.
Right, sir.
Maybe some break even comes. I do not know. I am not that much business oriented person, but in the beginning, some what I gains from the industry and their experience, that in the initial years you have to invest, not care for the profit. And maybe after say certain duration, maybe 1 year, 2 year or 3 years, then your profits will start coming, and they will start coming in leaps and bounds. So one has to, whatsoever the industrialist is there, he has to take a jump. So industry will be developed of several kinds. One is the cylinders, one is the accessories for the safety, another is the special transport vehicles for carrying the filled cylinders, and one business model will come, the refueling stations, either with the help of the cylinders or with the help of the pipelines.
Right. Great, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sagar. We appreciate your curiosity on the subject. Is anyone else interested? Any more queries? Okay, so I think, sir, we are done with the queries. So shall we wrap up for today?
Sir, you can tell the participant that they can send the queries to you.
Okay.
If some are there, and whatsoever will be pertaining to us, means CEA,
yes, sir,
we will try to reply.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for that. As sir has already announced, I would like to request to the participants, in case there are any more queries, you can mail to us. Then we'll be forwarding the same to Rajput sir, and he shall be doing the best he can to solve your queries. So thank you so much, sir, for that. Sir, also, I hope you are willing to share the presentation.
हाँ सर, मैं भेज दूंगा.
Yeah, so we'll be sharing the presentation to all of you in your registered email IDs. So, sir, shall we wrap up for today?
Yes, as the time permit.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. As you all are aware, this was the first day of the online national tutorial on use of hydrogen for power storage and generation. The first day was taken up by Shri Ashok Kumar Rajput, Chief Engineer, CA. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to thank you that you took time from your busy schedule for this program. We are really thankful for the support and guidance from CA and yourself. To all the participants, I request all of you to kindly join us at the same time, 3 o'clock. The tomorrow's session shall be taken up by Shri Rajinder K. Kaura, CMD Burjan Associates. He'll be giving a presentation. So thank you so much, sir, once again. To all the participants also, I would like to thank you for joining with us today.
And thank you for giving me an opportunity and this platform.
The pleasure is all ours and the participants, sir.
Sir.
So, okay, the participants, we shall be waiting for you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And once again, Rajput sir, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. So everyone, bye-bye and take care. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Rajput.